India today has been able to identify and uncover 3 overseas assets of Mr. Vijay Mallya, which he seems to have not declared. Now, Vijay Mallya owns 3 super luxury flats in New York's iconic Trump Plaza. Trump is the key word in America these days. What raises serious questions is that Vijay Mallya failed to disclose ownership of these 3 apartments in successive annual affidavits, which he filed as a member of parliament. High-level sources in the Enforcement Directorate have confirmed to India Today that the Enforcement Directorate is scrutinizing these properties in New York, which Vijay Mallya failed to disclose to Parliament.
New York's iconic Trump Plaza. This prime real estate location is owned by Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump. And among its famous residents is Vijay Mallya. India Today has uncovered 3 super luxury flats owned by the besieged liquor baron at the Trump Plaza. Vijay Mallya has failed to disclose the ownership of these 3 apartments in successive annual affidavits which he filed as a member of parliament. India Today went to Trump Plaza in Manhattan, where the security guard confirmed that Vijay Mallya did indeed own an apartment there. According to documents accessed by India Today from the New York City Department of Finance Office of the City Register, the first flat was bought by Mallya on the 3rd of March 2010. The address given in the New York City public records is 39D 167 East 61st Street. The ownership of this super luxury flat is in the name of Vijay Mallya as the natural guardian and his daughter Tanya Mallya, who was a minor at that time. At the time of purchase, the value of this apartment was 6.3 crore rupees. Mallya did not stop with buying one house. 2 months later, on the 19th of May 2010, Vijay Mallya bought another flat, this time a penthouse at the same address. Once again, Vijay Mallya is listed in the New York City records as the owner and natural guardian, and Tanya Mallya is shown as the co-owner. The address listed is PHE 167 East 61st Street. This penthouse was bought by Mallya for 15.9 crore rupees. Mallya bought his 3rd and last apartment at the Trump Plaza on the 16th of September 2010. This apartment is solely in Vijay Mallya's name, and in the office of the City Register, the address is shown as 38 PHA 167 East 61st Street. The 3rd apartment was bought for 7.9 crore rupees. The total value of all 3 apartments at the time of purchase was 30.1 crore rupees. The details of these 3 apartments are missing from Mallya's affidavit that he submitted on the 4th of June 2010 when he was elected a Rajya Sabha MP. As required by the Rajya Sabha, Mallya updated this affidavit every year, with the most recent affidavit being submitted in 2014. In these affidavits, Vijay Mallya has supposedly laid out all the movable and immovable assets owned by him. Mallya has listed his stake in United Breweries, Kingfisher Airlines, United Spirits, McDowell Holdings, and a whole host of other investments valued at 591 crore rupees. Mallya has also listed the value of the various estates owned by him, which totals to 14 crore rupees. However, in the column where Mallya was required to disclose the houses and apartments owned by him and his dependents, Mallya has written nil. India Today sent multiple emails to Vijay Mallya and his official spokesperson. After 3 days of constant follow-ups, the only response we got was no comments. Highly placed Enforcement Directorate sources have told India Today that they are taking a close look at the foreign assets owned by Mallya and are investigating why he failed to disclose the apartments he owned in New York's Manhattan. The ED has told the courts that its investigation shows that Mallya bought foreign assets by misusing loans taken from state-owned banks. However, that is a charge the ED will need to prove in a court of law. What cannot be disputed though is that Mallya owns foreign assets which he failed to disclose as an MP. With Vishwas Kumar, this is Rahul Kamal reporting for the India Today Special Investigation Team.
Joining us this morning is India Today's Smita Sharma. Morning, Smita. What is the Indian government's reaction going to be? What is their next step, particularly in the light of this investigation?
You know, today, Sanket, is actually exactly a week since that notice was sent to Vijay Mallya last Friday on 15th of April, asking him why shouldn't his passport be, in fact, revoked or impounded under the Passports Act. And he was asked to reply within a stipulated time, which he hasn't done. So from today onwards, you know, we are expecting within the next few hours, it's likely that his passport could be revoked. His diplomatic passport was already suspended. After which, of course, he has the option to go to a higher court, you know, challenge this revocation decision, and thereon, of course, once the passport is revoked, the Ministry of External Affairs can start thinking about the deportation process and you know, moving ahead with files. You know, the jokes in the political corridors these days are that he's perhaps consulting Mr. Lalit Modi in all the steps that Mr. Modi took to try and stay out of India, because if you remember, Lalit Modi too had challenged that passport revocation first in a court, in a single judge bench, but those, of course, got rejected. Once he went ahead to a higher court in a you know, in a division bench, in fact, that's why he got, in fact, a favorable verdict.
So is Mr. Vijay Mallia following in the footsteps of Mr. Lalit Modi, is what Smita concludes at this moment. These are the 3 flats that he seems to own at the iconic Trump Tower in New York. Joining us now from United Kingdom, which seems to be the place where Mr. Vijay Mallia has a lot of properties which have caught the eye of the Enforcement Directorate. We've got Lavina Tandon joining us. Lavina, what's happening there? Have you been able to establish contact with Vijay Mallia, who has been in the UK for more than a month now?
Let me first go through the facts of the case as it exists now. I have spoken to the Indian High Commission and they have confirmed receiving the letter that MEA has sent to Mr. Vijay Mallia about revoking his passport. Home Office would not comment on individual cases, but that would go into the extradition and deportation thing, which we can talk about later. But as of now, let me first answer about seizing the assets, overseas assets. Now, in generic bank rules, if this was an unsecured loan and these assets were not given as guarantee, then it's right that he's right in saying that they cannot be seized. But in case it can be proven that these assets were bought by the money of the loan, then there is a case there. Also, it is more than technically that might be right and he might have some value in what he's saying, but this is more in the case of a man who is known to be a man of good times and would like his reputation to be tarnished like this, considering he has not paid his employees and a lot of people has suffered as a result of the crash of this airline and the loan that has to be returned. And would he not want to secure his reputation? And this is really a moral ground more than a technical ground, but it merits to know whether these assets were taken as guarantee or not, according to the banking rules in India as well.
Okay, now Smita, you know, Lavina is talking about his properties in London, in the rest of the UK, that huge mansion in the UK, but particularly about these properties where the net cost is about 15.90 crore rupees, 6.90 crore rupees individually of these various flats, 3, one on top of the other, at the Trump Tower in New York, and this is undisclosed.
Yes.
What can the Indian government do with the power that it has about this thing?
You know, it's essentially the Enforcement Directorate once again and the Finance Ministry through the MEA, if they take cognizance of these reports, unless they're already aware of these properties and they're investigating into it, they'll possibly have to try and get in touch with the American authorities, the concerned authorities, to first of all see whether, you know, these properties are legal as per American law or illegal as per American law, and then maybe, you know, try and move files seeking for either a seizure or confiscation, given the fact that he is a defaulter and therefore, you know, there are some criminal charges against Vijay Mallia.
Absolutely.
But what the government is also waiting to see at the moment, Sanket, is that, you know, if his passport is revoked, what if he's able to pull out maybe a second passport of some other country? You know, that's something that Indian government doesn't know at the moment, because without an Indian passport, he'll be without a legal document. He'll have to go to the Indian mission and ask for a document if he wants to travel back to India to answer questions. But in terms of these properties, it's going to be a long game. It's not going to be anything soon.
You're suggesting some sort of an asylum that he seeks? That's a...
He could ask for permission to stay, you know, in the other countries.
Okay. Let's quickly get in another question from Lavina. Lavina, now with Vijay Mallia's passport suspended, does India and the UK have an extradition treaty? What is the way forward for Mr. Vijay Mallia? vis-a-vis the law.
As per the understanding given to us by the High Commission and the Home Office, this is what I understand of the case as of now. The Indian High Commission has received intimation from MEA about revocation of the passport, and Mr. Mallia has been contacted by the ministry directly from India. Now, as far as his assets go, if we look at very general banking rules, then if these personal assets have not been given as a guarantee, he does have a meat in what he's saying, that they can't be assessed or they can't be seized. But if it is proven that these assets were brought or bought from the money that was taken as loan, then there is some case to be held there. But it looks like I am outside Mr. Mallia's house once again, and this would be the case in the coming months, because if this case goes into extradition or deportation, I would definitely become a permanent fixture, because India and the UK do not have an extradition treaty between them, and that makes this case a legal one in the coming months.
Lavina Tandon as well as Smita Sharma, many thanks for joining us. Please do keep tracking all the latest details as we carry out our comprehensive investigation in this matter. Now, staying with the king of bad times, there are more developments taking place. Number one, there was a development at the Enforcement Directorate level. Now, in a fresh turn of events, Vijay Mallya has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying that banks have no right over information of his overseas assets. In the affidavit filed in the country's top court, the beleaguered liquor baron says that he is a non-resident Indian and is not obliged to disclose overseas assets. He has sought to file details of assets in a sealed cover. Mallya says in the affidavit that his 3 children and wife are US citizens and need not disclose their assets. In the affidavit, Mallya said Kingfisher Airlines was a business failure due to reasons beyond control, and banks cannot get details of foreign assets as they were not involved in overseas assets recast. However, Mallya has agreed to deposit 1,590 crore rupees in the Supreme Court as a token amount. Mallya owes 9,000 crore rupees worth of loans to banks.
News that is coming in the bulletin. Vijay Mallya has refused to divulge details of overseas assets to the consortium of banks that filed the case against him. Mallya has filed an affidavit.
In a sense, did not reflect the true Indian cultural ethos, did not represent our plurality. But do you believe that Asauddin Owaisi, because he said